thinking of Tomaquag Museum, I think I have to go back to when I was around 5 years old, so that's in the 1950s. The museum was located in Tomaquag Valley in Hopkinton, Rhode Island. I can remember going with my parents and my grandmother to Tomaquag Museum, and I remember that it was this small building, and I remember meeting Mrs. Eva Butler, who started the museum, and seems to me she was a woman full of energy. I can remember that Princess Redwing was there, and also Princess Pine Needles. That's Adele Rhodes, who was the daughter, I believe, of Pine Tree. I remember going there for various events, and one of the things that I can remember distinctly going to as a young person was the evening campfires, where storytelling was done. The various elders would share stories, and we'd also have time for dancing, social dancing. When I think about the place, I also remember that there were outdoor spaces that had animals that one could look at, turkeys and fox. Eventually, Tomaquag at Tomaquag Valley disbanded. Mrs. Butler passed or crossed over, and the museum was left pretty much just abandoned in the building. The artifacts were left there, and eventually her son, Sewell Butler, decided he was going to sell that property, and he contacted Princess Redwing and asked her if she wanted the material artifacts, and she said yes. And at that point, she asked my parents if she could bring them here to Dovecrest in Arcadia, Exeter, Rhode Island, to house those artifacts. Princess Redwing and my parents continued to have the various Thanksgivings that Tomaquag had established, such as maple sugar Thanksgiving, strawberry Thanksgiving, the green bean Thanksgiving, cranberry Thanksgiving, and Nicomo. And of course, I volunteered with all of those events as a teenager and then as a young woman. My favorite memory of Tomaquag Museum over time is the continuation of the Thanksgivings and the welcoming of all people to those Thanksgivings. And especially that my children and grandchildren have had the opportunity to participate in those Thanksgiving programs. The major change was that we then had established the bylaws and invited a group of people to be the board of directors. And with that, and with having the 501c3 nonprofit status, eventually we were able to apply for grants to assist the museum. At that time, once we established the board, eventually the board asked me to be the director. it was a volunteer position as they didn't have any funds at that time. So I guess in the 1970s, late 1970s, I became the director of the Tomaquag Museum. Through those grants, we hired Stephen Gross, who worked as a cataloger. He came recommended because he had cataloged a private collection of Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln writings and material. And secondly, Fred Calabretta came on board as someone to continue the project. My daughter, Loren Spears, has become the director, the executive director of Tomaquag Museum. I approached her about doing a grant from the Rhode Island Council on the Humanities that I had seen advertised for the pursuit of happiness. And immediately when I saw the posting that they were looking for people to write a grant regarding the pursuit of happiness, I immediately thought that I would like to see something from an Indigenous perspective. As a Narragansett woman, what did I think of the pursuit of happiness? And hence, we did the exhibit called The Pursuit of Happiness, an Indigenous View, here at Tomaquag Museum. That exhibit really shows many aspects of Indigenous life and how the United States and the state of Rhode Island has hampered or thwarted our pursuit of happiness.